Hello everyone, and welcome back to my shop. Well, hello everyone and welcome. Today I'm going to just do a quick little service on this 1949 Chevrolet 3100 pickup truck, and won't take me but a couple moments. Shouldn't be a very long video to mess with you, but then again, you might find it helpful. I've been noticing that I've been having some spots underneath the rear, and I figure, well, it's about time I check it before I take it back out again, because it's going to have to be getting low. I've got another 1,000 miles to go before I hit my 3,000 mile scheduled maintenance interval, and I normally do that then, but I decided I'm going to check that anyway. And since I'm checking that, I'm going to go ahead and check the transmission level too, and I may be calling it fluid when it is gear oil. It's 8090 GL4 gear oil. It's the same oil that goes in the transmission, that goes in the rear end, but I may call it fluid, so bear with me if I do. So anyway, and while I'm down in that way, I just give it a quick little inspection to make sure everything's going fine, and then it'll be ready to get out here and put about 1,000 more miles on it. Then I'll service it again. So anyway, stay tuned, and let's get a quick little maintenance done here. I don't know if you can make that out, but it's about 13.9 volts charging. All right, now I'm just going to reach down here and I'm going to turn my charger off, and let's see what it drops to. So really, it's taking a really good charge. Anything over 13's really good. And to be totally honest with you, if it's 12.5 volts or higher, I'm generally pretty happy with it, because this has got an alternator for a charging system. I switched over to from 6 volt positive generator recharging system in this truck to a 12 volt alternator negative ground, which is like in, like your modern vehicles. And so you want to see similar voltage levels that you would also observe in a modern vehicle. So I'm around 13 volts. It's still dropping some. I may put a little bit more charge on it, but like I say, I've got such a really good charging system, I'm not overly concerned if it drops even down to 12.5 volts. And there's your battery access. Right. In my zeal to try to stay as close to stock and OEM as possible, I still utilize the stove bolts, screws to hold the inspection pan on, and they're straight slot, so that makes it a little bit more difficult to get them out, but we'll try it anyway. Of course, you got one that won't stay, won't come out. Still got to resort to the manual method. There she blows. Now that was an aftermarket pan, and it fit perfect, so I'm glad to say that. The original was really rusted up bad. So I'll bring you over here on the other side and show you how to check the transmission fluid level in case you haven't done it before. All right, here's a good look at the transmission, and the fill check plug is right here. All right, let me get my arm right there. I'm pointing to it right there, and this is a 9/16 wrench, and we're going to break him loose with him. All right, see if we can do this without well, I'm gonna need two hands to break it loose. Be right back. Okay, it was tight, so it took two hands, and it's still tight. It's a good tight pipe thread. Now, when I pull that plug out, if it starts running out, that indicates it's full, and it doesn't need any fluid at all. Okay, so I'm gonna try to do this quick. We'll hold the camera this way, and let's, oh, it's like my head's getting in the way of the light. Let me see if I can find a better way to light this up without me getting in the way. How's that? That's better, isn't it? All right, here we go. If it starts running out, it's going right back on there, and it's running out. Yep. So it doesn't need any. Okay, I'm just not as good as the guys the guy that does this for a living. Okay, all right, I got a little puddle down there, but that's all right. So I'm not I'm happy to see that. Like I said, I didn't have any drips or anything, but I just wasn't sure. Okay, he's good and tight. Whoa. All right, he'll drip a little bit. Now this one right here, the only time you need to pull this is if you service this, and this is your this is where your U-joint is housed, right inside this ball cap end of the torque tube. All right, well, hold on, let me get some more. Here we go, got it lit up better. This is the plug I'm talking about. That is the fill plug for if you open this up for any reason. This contains, I think it's about a pint, or a pint to a pint and a half of transmission fluid, and it sits from about here to here, and there's seals in here to seal that. Okay, matter of fact, you can see some of the silicone I had to use. I had some problems of keeping this sealed originally, but it's high and dry, so I finally got successful. So that should tell you, if you get the surfaces very clean, new gaskets, and use some so this is gray the Permatex gray RTV, and it's leak free. All right, that's good. But anyway, what I was saying, if you do take this off to service the U-joint or to do anything with the torque tube, you're going to have to refill this chamber right here. Okay, and it's about a pint to a pint and a half of the same. I use 8090 GL4, okay, GL4 rated 8090 gear oil that you would put in your transmission. That's also what you put in the rear end, the same stuff. All right, but in normal use, there's like a void, a little gap in the separation wall between this area of the transmission and this, and gear oil can get over that and continue to lube this U-joint, because the U-joint actually runs in that gear oil also. Eventually that gear oil will either leak out of the torque tube somewhere, or could actually even leak all the way down into the rear. That's why we're going to check the rear end too. What I don't want to see, there's two things I don't want to see when I check the rear end. Number one, I don't want it to come gushing out. That tells me that seals in this torque tube are so far gone that fluid is getting all the way through. You want that fluid to it's going to get through eventually, okay? But you want it to lubricate. There are bushings in that torque tube, because inside the torque tube is the actual, Chevrolet calls it the propeller shaft, which is actually the drive shaft, okay? So keep that in mind. I don't want to see it gushing out, and I don't want to see it so low that I can't hardly feel it with my finger. But I do know my rear end, this truck's rear end does seep gear oil, so I'm not going to be surprised if it is low. So anyway, we're going to look this over a little bit more, then we'll put him back together. All right. You can see there's kind of a surface cover of rust on that transmission. Now, one of these days, I'm going to have to do something about the bushings on these gear shifters. Not that they're loose or anything, that this shifts perfect, but it's oozing a little bit of fluid out. You can see from the from this reflection on the metal there that it is oozing some of the gear oil out. So one day I can see a rebuild. Here's the puddle. That's how much came out when I opened it. And there's your master cylinder right there. You see him? See right there, okay? Now this is the access panel right there to check the fluid level. And while we're here, we're going to check that too. So you can see that there. So I'll show you there. I'll show you that also. All right. But we're looking really good. There's a little bit of wet right there. Otherwise, I mean, when I first got this truck, of course, it's a farm truck, and I got it from the original owner. When I first got it running, it was pouring out of here. So I'm very happy with the condition I'm seeing of everything. All right. Okay, I've cheated a little bit, and I've broke this loose. I use just a pair of pliers like that, break it loose. Also, clean it really good before you pull this lid off, because that can drop stuff down in there. And let's see what we're looking at here. And we're low, so we're gonna put some brake fluid in this dude. Be right back. I don't know if it shows it. It didn't take as much as I thought. I guess I didn't have the light shining on it, but it was a little low, so you can see kind of where I've topped it off. I'll shake the truck a little bit, maybe you can see it splash around. An important thing to have is a good gasket on this top, on this lid, okay? Now my old one deteriorated, and I had my master cylinder when I did my maintenance. Oh, not this past one, but the one before last, which would be, what, 5,000 miles ago. My master cylinder was soaking wet, and it was very low. As a matter of fact, I'm glad I checked it, because I know it would have been a matter of time where I wouldn't have had any brakes at all, because this is a single reservoir master cylinder. In other words, if he runs out of fluid, you ain't got no brakes. It's not like the modern, okay? Now, I do have good working parking brakes, so I could have possibly got to a stop that way. But anyway, just make sure that gasket is good, and we're clean, and we'll go back on. All right, we don't want to put any garbage in there. Any garbage can make its way to those O-rings, and which seals the brakes. And well, there's your leaks, and you're looking at replacing or rebuilding. Okay, all right, he's on. We're gonna crank him tight like this. I mean, you want him tight there, okay? Now, and then you can put this on there. Now, the original one is metal with a rubber coating. This is an aftermarket. My original one rusted away, and so what's that? Okay, so that's aftermarket, but it does a great job. All right, now let's see, anything else to look at? All right, there's the gear shifts on this side. Of course, there's my exhaust pipe. You can see a little shiny there where I've got a little bit of leak on that on the torque tube, but That's highly acceptable. Okay, that's the drive shaft. Speedometer cable right there. Okay, and everything else looks really good. So we're going to tighten this dude back up. All right. Okay, there's no gasket. I mean, there is a gasket that would go between, but I didn't use it. And I drive this truck in the winter, and I don't have any problems with cold air getting up to my pants legs or anything. I'll come back to some of these. All right. Alright, I like to do the final tighten up with the screwdriver. Okay, alright, well there's that. Alright, okay, here's the battery cover, and here's the mechanism. Alright, you flip him up, okay, and you turn him. Let's see if I can do this. You see how he extends out? Let's bring him back. Okay, in, out, same for the bottom. Okay, all right, that's how it locks down. I'll show you. We'll put him down. He's got to be good and secured, and he's in. Flip it down, and there you go. Okay, now we're under it, and I've rung a crescent wrench this time because I did not want to have to get in and out trying to figure out what size. It looks like a 3/4, maybe 11/16, but we got a crescent wrench instead. So let's see. We have been dripping, so I expect it to be a little low, and it is. Nothing's coming out. I got my refill right here. I didn't show you, but I did. I do know how. Oh, okay. He's coming out. So it wasn't that low. Let's see. Yeah. Let me give it one more squirt, just to be for sure. Well. Alright, just as I expected, or suspected, the rear was low. According to the book, the manual, it holds 4.5 pints, and I put almost a pint. I put about 15 ounces, 14 to 15 ounces into the rear, and according to my calculations, there's 16 ounces to a pint, so that's how low I was. That's over 5,000 miles. When I checked it at 2,000 miles ago at the previous 3,000 mile maintenance, it wasn't low. So, well, it was a little bit low. I could still touch it with my finger. So, over the last 2,000 miles, it's really went down. I've been seeing the spots, especially after I take it out on a good run. So I got me a 9/16 socket, and I went around and I wanted to make sure all the bolts that holds the rear end cover plate on were tight, and it was tight. Now, when I got this thing running, I went through everything, and I saw where it was leaking real bad. And I purchased from an aftermarket supplier a gasket, and it ended up not being the correct gasket. So what I did is I cleaned both surfaces real good, and I used some gray Permatex RTV on it. Now, hindsight, I should have used black. And so what I'm going to do, not now, maybe when I go to do the next 3,000 mile service, which is 1,000 miles from now, I may just go ahead and pull that pan off, clean everything up, and use the black RTV and go from there. The gray, I think, is supposed to be able to withstand that oil and grease, but I know the black is, so I think that's my problem with that. I may try to find a gasket in too. Like I say, that other gasket was too big. I don't know what it was for. Maybe it was for a ton or larger, ton and a half truck or larger. It was too big for my rear. So anyway, so it was low, as I suspected. Put 8090 in it, GL4. Now, the reason why you may not want to go with GL5 is GL4, what you want is GL3, but you can't hardly find that anymore. GL4 is backwards compatible with GL3. And there's yellow, what they call yellow or copper shims that are in the rear. The GL5 supposedly over time can eat them away. Now that's what I read, that's what I hear. I don't know how accurate that is, so I always err on the side of caution and I go with the GL4. Oh, had the cover on wrong. Reminds me of a story. One time, me and my brother had his little son. He was about, I guess he was about 5. He was kind of bebopping along with us, you know. We were at a car show, as a matter of fact. He was bebopping along. This was probably 30 years ago now. 35 years ago. So he's bebopping. He's got his hat turned around, and he looks up at me. He said, "Uncle Dave," says, "You know what? I'm going to turn my hat around and wear it backwards, just like you." That's 35 years ago, and they're still wearing it backwards. So what can I say? So anyway, I hope you found this helpful. Just a quick little service update. Ends up, my transmission was good, torque tube good, just the rear was a little low. And my brakes were a little low, my master cylinder, but not that much. It wasn't, I just topped it off. I didn't have to add much at all. So I got another 1,000 miles before the next oil change, so I guess I need to get this thing out and do some cruising. So anyway, hope everything's going good with you and yours. Everything's going great here, can't complain. Won't do me no good to complain anyway. Just carry on and take care of that business. So have a good one, and I hope to see you around on the next one. See you.